So on Tuesday, Texas Congressman Al Green was booted from the chamber for protesting Trump's joint address to Congress. Watch.
We won the popular vote by big numbers and won counties in our country.
Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
So, after there were calls for the House to censure him over this, he made his case the next day. Take a look at that.
The president indicated that he had a mandate. I said to the president, you do not have a mandate to cut Medicaid. I have constituents who need Medicaid. They will suffer and some will die if they don't get Medicaid. I heard the speaker when he said that I should cease. I did not, and I did not with intentionality.
But the speaker, also known as Mike Johnson, wasn't hearing it. Now, this is what he said about that. Watch.
They take no pleasure in making history like this. I want us to have proper decorum. I want us to maintain really the great tradition of this institution, and these things do damage to it, and I'm sorry that it happened.
What about an insurrection? Does that do damage to the institution? So yesterday, the House voted to censure Green, which inspired this show of unity from some Democrats. Watch this.
Representative Al Green be censured with public reading of this resolution by the Speaker.
It's touching, but it didn't unite them all because 10 Democrats voted to censure Green.
Wow. Do you want a list of the 10?
Do you want to hear their names?
Yes, I do.
Why go after them, too? Go after the Republicans.
Because they don't know how to fight and be part of an opposition party. Representative Green gave them the example. The Democrats are not meeting the moment. It is very clear that Medicaid is on the table. It is very clear that Social Security is on the table. It is very clear that people will die. The baby boomers, the civil rights generation, they knew what they had to do. They were willing to fight and die for their rights. This generation of Congress, they are not meeting the moment. This is an existential crisis.
And also, I might point out, some of them are from the most liberal states like New York, Hawaii, California.
They should be ashamed of themselves.
Okay,
they should have all walked out with him.
And three are from districts.
Here's a question. Where was all this talk about decorum from Republicans when Marjorie Taylor Greene was screaming at Biden? Okay. All right, now, you want to hear who they are? I'm going to read them. Amy Berra, Ed Case, Jim Costa, Lauren Gillen, Jim Himes. Jim Himes, I would never have thought that. Chrissy Houlihan, Marcy Kaptur, Jared Moskowitz. What?
Yeah.
Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez from Washington, and Tom Suozzi.
I think, respectfully, though, there's a lot of people who saw the outburst differently, including Democrats, which was, if you're going to protest and be an opposition party, do it with intentionality and make sure it works. Holding up signs, it's protesting, like, are they being advised by people who use, like, Windows 98? It's the most outdated, inconsistent.
We're talking about Green.
But to his point, I get his point on Medicaid, but this mandate point, if Democrats are going to keep arguing, we only lost by X million of votes, that is not the winning message you guys think that it is.
He doesn't have a mandate.
But can I just tell you what Suozzi said, why he voted?
How many votes do you need win by to have a mandate?
This is Suozzi's, he's a New York guy, by the way.
Yeah.
Both parties must hold themselves to the same standards we expect from the other side. See, they're going to a gunfight with a knife, as they say.
But therein lies the problem, you see.
Yeah.
Look, I like civility in Congress. And I think that when you are in Congress, we are not at a WWE WWE wrestling match. This is not the House of Commons. This is the U.S. Capitol. The problem is that this is not happening in a vacuum. We all remember when Joe Wilson, the Republican congressman, stood up against Barack Obama giving a State of the Union and called him a liar.
Said you lie. Said you lie.
We saw Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, the congressional hearings lately have devolved into shouting matches that are shameful. And frankly, like you, I have a really hard time being lectured by Republicans who are trying to whitewash and rewrite history, because if you didn't stand up against Donald Trump's pardon of 1,500 insurrectionists who have violated the Capitol like no other time in history, then you don't have the right to clutch your pearls and be all outraged
but they don't care.
over a member of Congress standing up.
Yeah, but my bigger outrage is every one of those elected officials in that room was put there because of voters. They have a job to do, and what they keep doing is not doing their job. Censures are like a slap on the wrist, and all they want to do is it was him, it was her, it was this. They fight against each other rather than work with one another. We send them there to make legislation, to move the ball forward. Right now, we have an impending government shutdown coming up. That's coming up. 70,000 jobs at the VA. Military aid and intelligence sharing to Ukraine was just suspended. Those are problems that people care about. Stop fighting like little wieners in D.C. and start answering to your constituents. This censor stuff, even that we talk about, do we want it, who voted, who, this is all pathetic.
But doesn't the Republican Party, isn't that the party in charge of all these problems?
No, censorship is a stupid thing that I called out when they said. Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm talking about the cuts, the VA cuts.
Yeah.
Isn't that the Republican Party?
What I'm saying is get the work done. There's
power,
legislation.
though.
Stop singing in there. Stop holding up signs. Stop censoring the left and then the right and then screaming at each other.
Censuring,
You're
it's two
feckless.
different words.
I don't care. You're feckless. And what they're not doing is having more fun fighting with each other, putting on their partisan jerseys, than they are representing the constituents that voted them there.
And the votes will be there, the support will be there if they have a message that resonates with their constituents. And I want to play a quick clip, and it's no disrespect to Hakeem Jeffries, but this is what a losing message looks like.
What's wrong with y'all? We don't need to send paid protesters into your town hall meetings. The American people are with us.
Fire your social media person. There's no one behind you. Like, make it seem like people are with you. Make it seem like you want to be part of the team. But it seems like it's a lot of sign waving. It's disjointed messages. They can't decide what it is they're rallying around. In like this federal workforce, there are actual cuts that matter, like to the VA, like potentially to Medicaid.
That the Republicans are supporting.
I know, but instead they're messaging never fire a single federal worker.
Let's talk about what the Republicans are
think that
doing.
some people can be fired and that you can shrink government. Talk about the goods and services people won't
Frankly,
have if you make these cuts.
I think Americans, for me, I worry a lot less about the protests that are going on in Congress, and I care a lot more about the protests that are going on at town halls and in the streets of America, because I think that if we want to develop a message, we are the ones that have to show up. Don't depend on your elected officials right now. This is going to be bottom up, and we have to make Donald Trump and the Republicans in Congress. We've got to make the Republicans in Congress, who have the power to address all those issues, because they run the House, they run the Senate. We have got to make them more scared of us and losing their seats than they are scared of Donald Trump.
How do you think they're doing at that right now? Because what I would say is they're offering a great distraction.
I actually think you're wrong. I think in the last 2 weeks there has been a shift in political opinion. I think in the last 2 weeks.
Not because the Democrats are doing anything.
That's my point, because of the people. So if you ask me, how are people doing? I think people are showing up. They're showing up to protest.
People are amazing. It should always be about the people.
They're showing up at town halls.
I liked hearing the Democrats sing "We Shall Overcome."
I did too.
I think the Republicans should sing "Hopelessly Devoted to You." To Trump, right?